Hello to all my friends out there in YouTube land. It's your good buddy Philtastic Phil here, and I'm joined by my co-host MT. Buddy, you want to say hi? He didn't say hello. He just wants to play with my keys even though he knows he's not allowed to. And welcome back to the channel. Well, today we're doing something a little bit different. My normal co-host, he's playing with my hat right now. That's why you see me hatless. My wife, my beautiful wife, is in the middle of a doctor's appointment. So it's just the little guy and I hanging out here, talking to you today about Secret Invasion. It's been a little over a week since the Disney Plus series has ended, and I think it's enough time for me to give my review, my thoughts, what I liked, what I didn't like, and really maybe kind of help sort out where this puts us in terms of the Marvel Universe. I am going to warn you, there will be some spoilers in here, so proceed with caution. First and foremost, I should point out that if you were expecting a plot similar to the Secret Invasion miniseries, I think it was from like 2008, you're going to be sorely mistaken. It doesn't follow the story. I'm going to say maybe 95% of it is different, and that 5% I'm giving you is a little bit generous. Really, that's a good thing. I think they had to do that for the MCU. Which did you prefer before we begin, the series or the book? Oh, okay. Yeah, he didn't watch either, nor did he read the book because he can't read. Okay. Here, he doesn't want my hat anymore. And I'm going to hide my keys so they don't distract you. Motivation behind the Skrulls in the Secret Invasion Disney Plus series differs from the comic greatly. In the comic, you had a rogue religious sect of Skrulls who had really taken over the Skrull Empire just through some of their division. And if you need information about that, I made a whole series about Skrulls. I probably know more about Skrulls than any one person should at this point. But I urge you to take a look at those. I really found their history interesting. As I was saying, they had a whole religious motivation, feeling it was their religious right to take over Earth as the Skrull homeworld. And they were not going to do that quietly. Whereas the Disney Plus series, it is revealed that long ago, after the events of the Captain Marvel film, Nick Fury had teamed up with Talos, who makes a reprisal in this series, played by Ben. Let's see, do you remember Ben's last name? Oh, you're done with your water for now? Okay, hold on, I'm just going to do this, watch. And we'll put this here. So if you want it, you grab it, you let me know. I'm going to say Matheson. I'll put up a picture of him here, and I'll do a fancy voiceover with his last name. Admittedly not fancy enough. I'm working on a phone, you know that. Nick Fury had made a promise to the Skrulls that he would find them a new homeworld. And 30 years later, some Skrulls got tired of waiting for Nick Fury and Talos and decided they're going to take Earth by force. The opening salvo in Secret Invasion, in the Disney Plus series at least, is a deadly terrorist-like attack in the middle of a square in Russia, meant to frame the United States in an act of terrorism. The Skrulls' whole motivation is they want to cause a big nuclear war between Russia and the United States, enabling them to simply infiltrate and take over. I should tell you, if you're going into this series expecting big superhero fights, lots of action, and kind of your I guess you could see common MCU tropes, you're going to be sorely let down. And I think that's why this series, at least the early episodes, were not very well received, because it is a very slow burning series. It's a slow burn. If I had to equate it to anything that we've seen in the MCU so far, I would say it's more closer to the political intrigue that you've seen in Captain America: The Winter Soldier, minus all of the well done and executed action scenes. Some might find this particularly slow. I found this approach refreshing, interesting, and downright intriguing. I think the series itself is fueled by some great performances from Samuel Jackson, Ben we're going to just say Ben because I can't remember his last name. Olivia Copeland does a phenomenal job in every single scene that she's in. I mean, in all honesty, this is not going to get nominated for any awards. It is a crime if she doesn't get any sort of nomination or recognition. But I could go off on a tangent on how Hollywood does not want comic book properties to survive now, but that's another discussion. I also think Don Cheadle does an amazing job, but the real standout actor among this huge cast, I unfortunately do not know the actor's name. The guy who plays the main Skrull villain, the leader of this rebellion, Gravik, amazing job. Every time he's on the screen, just commanding, and he's got that presence about him that make him such a great villain. If I had to equate him to another character that we've seen in the MCU, just as far as his pure talent goes, and even in the ability, I would say, to almost get him on your side, I'd have to say Thanos. Maybe that's a little overblown, I'll give you that, but I have to say, amazing job. And if you don't believe me, tell me yourself. Leave a comment, of course. I have to say this: I was let down by the performance in here of Emilia Clarke. Emilia Clarke, I think, did a phenomenal job in Game of Thrones. Nobody's disputing that. Anything I've personally seen her in afterwards, what was that? Terminator Genesis. I can't remember the name of the film. My wife watched Unexpectedly Dark Christmas rom-com a couple years ago that she was in. And now this, I feel like she's just kind of there. You don't see that whole commanding performance that you saw with Dany Targaryen back in the day. I would hope, I would say this, I'm a little disappointed that they couldn't maybe utilize her a little bit better. I don't know if it's an issue with just her character itself, but I don't know. Sorry, Emilia. He was upset by that too, right? What was MT, my co-host? I'm sorry, I've been neglecting my co-host. What are your thoughts on some of the performances here? All really great, valid points. That last one especially, very insightful, I have to say. So, the story itself, as I said, it is a slow burn. I think it succeeds in introducing a lot of great kind of layers to Nick Fury. By the end of this series, you will see Nick Fury, for better or for worse, in a whole new light. Thank you for mentioning that. And this is one of the big spoilers of the series. Nick Fury is actually married, something that they had no kind of connection to prior in the MCU, but his relationship itself, yes, thank you, I'm sorry. His relationship itself does lend a lot of credence into the series. This relationship, I should say, is one of the main kind of plot points, or one of the main subplots, I should say, of the series. Now, my wife is out of her appointment, so we're going to shift our perspective. Everybody, so as you can see, for I guess the unofficial part 2 of this video, which may or may not be equal to part 1, we're in a different venue, and my co-host is now having lunch. Right, buddy? If he has anything to add, I'm sure he'll chime in. So I'll say, so I was saying in part 1, I felt Secret Invasion, all in all, was a good alternative to a typical superhero, or why don't we say comic book related film or TV show. That is with the exception of the finale, part 6. I can't really do this without spoiling it, but the big final fight, which doesn't even take place between Nick Fury and Gravik, he doesn't like it either. But Yeah, the final fight, which does not take place between Nick Fury and Gravik, just kind of becomes a case of kind of superhero film mishmash. You good, buddy? It kind of becomes like a superhero mishmash. The CGI is notably better than some of the recent Marvel and DC outings, but it just kind of is a different tone for the series and falls a little flat in my opinion. I do think, besides setting up some great mystery and everything, the show kind of fails to really surprise you. I don't know if it's pacing exactly or just the writing in general, but when these big twists and turns come up, they just kind of spoon feed it to you. They don't let the viewer, at least in my opinion, think and really assess what can go on. And when it just happens, it's kind of like, oh, okay, well, that's there. The conclusion of the series does leave a couple MCU characters in a bit of a precarious position. Martin Freeman, who plays Everett Ross from the Black Panther films, the S.H.I.E.L.D. agent, and Colonel Rhodes, Rhodey, War Machine, are revealed to have been replaced by Skrulls. Now, it doesn't say exactly how long they've been Skrulls, but somebody had pointed out that Rhodey needs the assistance of people to help him walk. So the thought is that maybe it was at some point during the blip that they were replaced, which I guess would make sense. I guess we won't know until future installments. There's also a little bit of back and forth that goes on about the Kree actually extending a hand to the Skrulls. I don't quite know how I feel about that. That hadn't happened in Marvel Comics until very recently, and only after hulking was introduced. So it's interesting to see where they're going to go there, considering the Kree... Right, buddy? Considering the Kree have been spotted in the Marvels trailer, which is the next project from next MCU project coming up. One of the things that seems a little odd, in my opinion, and his opinion as well, is that some of the characters just seem to evolve unnaturally. Emilia Clarke's definitely one of them. The gentleman who plays the president, totally another one. At the conclusion, it's just kind of again, definite spoiler, but at the conclusion of the series, he basically declares war on the Skrulls. So it kind of ends it like in a little bit of a Dark Reign type of position, minus Norman Osborn. I guess to be clear, and when the characters just kind of evolve unnaturally and too quickly, in my opinion, the viewer just cares less about them. Whether you enjoyed Secret Invasion or not, one thing is for sure, it'll certainly be interesting to see what happens from here. Thanks again for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thumbs up, subscribe, comment, all that fun YouTube stuff. I gotta go. You can hear my co-host says goodbye. Peace, love, and comics.